It was the summer of 1976. New York City was sweating through a brutal heatwave. Crime was high, fear was higher, but no one could have predicted the horror that was about to unfold. A serial killer would soon bring the city to its knees. His name, David Berkowitz, but the world would come to know him as the Son of Sam. This is the chilling true story of how one man held a city hostage, and the bizarre descent into the madness that shocked the nation. David Richard Berkowitz was born on June 1st, 1953, in Brooklyn, New York, adopted by Nathan and Pearl Berkowitz. He grew up in the Bronx, a quiet but awkward child with a deep sense of abandonment. Though not academically gifted, Berkowitz showed early signs of behavioural problems. He was obsessed with fire, got into frequent fights, and even claimed later that he killed hundreds of animals in his youth. After his adopted mother died, his life spiralled. He joined the army in 1971, but returned 3 years later, alone and isolated. By the mid-70s, David Berkowitz had become a drifter, a time bomb waiting to explode. July 29, 1976, the Bronx. A young couple, Donna and Jody, sit in a parked car. Out of the shadows, a man approaches with a .44 caliber bulldog revolver. Without a word, he fires. Donna is killed instantly. Jody survives.
Good evening. David Berkowitz, 24 years old, a postal worker, walked out of his Yonkers apartment last night, turned the ignition key in his car, and found himself surrounded by police.
It seems like an isolated shooting until it happens again and again. In the months that followed, young couples were gunned down across the Bronx, Queens and Brooklyn. The killer had a pattern. He struck at night, targeted couples in their cars or near homes, and used the same weapon every time. New York City was descending into panic. Women cut their hair or dyed it blonde. Fearing the killer was targeting brunettes. Couples avoided the streets, nightlife dried up. Police presence surged. Then, a breakthrough, but it came in the most bizarre way possible. In April 1977, the killer left a letter near the crime scene in Queens. It was addressed to NYPD Captain Joe. The writer called himself the Son of Sam. I am a monster. I am the Son of Sam. I love to hurt. I thirst for blood. Another letter was sent to the New York Daily News. It taunted police and promised more bloodshed. The killer now had a game, and it only deepened the city's fear. Berkowitz would later claim that he was under the influence of a demon, one that possessed his neighbour's black Labrador, named Harvey. The dog, he said, told him to kill. The Son of Sam wasn't just a murderer. He believed he was on a mission from the devil.
Doing something to appease the devil. I'm sorry for it, but I really don't want to talk about it anymore.
Appease the devil?
Well, I was, at this time, I was serving him. You know, I was serving him. I feel that he had taken over my mind and body, and I just surrendered to those very dark forces. I regret that with all my heart, but, you know, that was like 40 years ago, and I understand that it was a demonic thing, and, you know, I just opened myself up to some very dark forces to come in, and I can't, you know, change that. I look at that in disbelief. I can't believe that happened. I look back, none of it makes any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all.
Some experts labelled him as a paranoid schizophrenic. Others believed it was an act, a way to escape justice. But whether delusional or deceitful, the bodies kept piling up. In July 1977, Berkowitz struck again and made a mistake. A witness reported a suspicious man near the scene. A parking ticket led police to his yellow Ford. Inside, a rifle, maps and chilling notes were found. On August 10th, 1977, police surrounded his apartment. As officers approached, Berkowitz smiled and said, "Well, you got me,"
and brought to police headquarters about midnight. He is David Berkowitz, a 24-year-old postal worker who lived alone. He was smiling as he was brought in. Detectives displayed a .44 caliber pistol found in Berkowitz's car. The police lab says its tests indicate this was the gun used in the most recent Son of Sam slaying.
The ballistics section has just called and told us that the .44 caliber gun recovered tonight has been tested, and the bullets match the bullets recovered from Stacy Moskowitz.
New York's Mayor Beam appeared after midnight.
I'm very pleased to announce that the people of the city of New York can rest easy this morning because of the fact that the police have captured a man whom they believe to be the Son of Sam.
It was Berkowitz's car that led police to him. It had been ticketed for being parked by a fire hydrant on the night of the most recent murder, just a few blocks from the murder scene. Routinely following up the ticket, police found the car in Yonkers and noticed a .45 caliber machine gun inside and an envelope addressed in the killer's style of handwriting.
He was apprehended. He was advised of his rights.
And he resisted.
Advised he was under arrest. Advised of his rights. No, he was resigned to what appeared to be his fate.
Did he make any admissions?
He made a statement along. Well, you got me.
Besides the .44 pistol and the .45 machine gun, police seized a lot of ammunition at Berkowitz's apartment, along with a folder of press clippings with a poem written on the outside. The suspect doesn't bear much resemblance to any of the recent artist conceptions used by police, but one sketch drawn over a year ago does bear some resemblance to this Polaroid picture taken of the suspect on this night of his arrest.
In custody, Berkowitz denied all the murders until later confessing. He showed no remorse. In May 1978, he was fined contempt to stand trial and sentenced to 6 consecutive life sentences, totaling over 365 years imprisonment.
David Berkowitz, indicted for murder, also known as Son of Sam, also known as the .44 caliber killer, was arraigned today. He pleaded not guilty. His lawyer said if he is brought to trial, he will use insanity as a defense. A report from Robert Hager.
Berkowitz was brought to court in an 8-vehicle motorcade. Police know people are angry. They're afraid of violence. Berkowitz himself was in a special steel-plated prison van. A police helicopter flew overhead. The van disappeared into the underground parking garage of the courthouse. Police in flak jackets put away their pistols. In court, Berkowitz was brought in blinking, sullen-faced at first, and in handcuffs. As he took his seat, 8 uniformed officers shielded him from spectators. He nodded, now smiling slightly, as he had the day he was arrested. The judge asked who his lawyer would be. Berkowitz's voice was hoarse. He said Mark Heller would represent him. Heller joins 2 other lawyers, all hired by Berkowitz's relatives. A 4th lawyer, Philip Peltz, is trying to withdraw after accusations he offered to sell tape recordings of Berkowitz to the newspapers. Those tapes were impounded today. Now, the attorney Heller said Berkowitz pleaded not guilty. He added that insanity would be raised as a defense. Outside court, prosecutor Eugene Gold said he thinks Berkowitz is capable of standing trial.
It will be and is the position of my office that this defendant is competent to proceed to trial.
A crowd gathered and there were catcalls as Berkowitz was driven away. A report on his mental competence is due August 30th.
Berkowitz bit a guard badly enough to send him to the hospital as several guards stopped him from lunging toward a 7th-floor window. 90 minutes late, he made a wild entrance into the courtroom, looking straight at Mrs. Nisa Moskowitz, mother of one of his 6 murder victims, Stacy Moskowitz. To a weird, nursery rhyme-like tune, Berkowitz, who had never known Stacy Moskowitz, sang "Stacy was a whore." Mrs. Moskowitz bolted out of her seat and screamed back, "You animal!" That's right, Berkowitz replied in a whining voice. And then Robert Violante, Stacy's date the night she died, who was also shot by Berkowitz and lost an eye, rose and shouted, "You creep." After a recess, judges from the 3 boroughs where the murders occurred took the bench one at a time. The first quoted the last psychiatric report. It seemed to predict today's events. "Do you know what will happen during sentencing?" Berkowitz is asked. Then the psychiatrist's comment, Berkowitz's mood changes once again. Now his face lights up, his eyes twinkle. "I know, but I'm not telling." To a suggestion that there be another psychiatric evaluation in view of today's turmoil, a friend of the Moskowitz family bristled, stood, and shouted, "It's not justice. What about the families? They're human." Applause rolled over the courtroom. When a second judge spoke of delaying sentencing, another of Berkowitz's victims, Donna DeMasi, who was shot in the neck, shouted to the judge, "It should happen to you what happened to me." Later, she was cynical about Berkowitz's courtroom behavior.
I felt like killing. I felt like scratching his eyes out. Because it was an act, that's why.
And Robert Violante explained his courtroom outburst.
Total anger. That's it, just total outrage, and I really couldn't control myself.
Bronx District Attorney Mario Marola argued with the judge from his borough. This court has to bite the bullet and sentence him today.
In the years since, Berkowitz claimed he wasn't acting alone. He said he was part of a cult and that other members carried out some of the killings. Some investigators believe there's truth to this, while others say it's just another lie.
Just moving me along, just pushed me in that direction. Somebody had told me to get a copy of the Satanic Bible. Things began to change. There's like a power or a force began to actually reach out to me and kind of take charge over my life, kind of move me along. Did begin to take vows. For a while I had begun to be partaker of the group with chanting and rituals and various incantations. There were animal sacrifices and other.
In prison, David Berkowitz claims to have found God. He now refers himself as the Son of Hope. He preaches to his inmates and shares his testimony online.
I brought on myself through my own sinful actions, but God is good. God is good, and He's brought me a long ways. I think, in all seriousness and soberness, when I shudder to think what my life would have been if I never came to Christ. I honestly believe that I would not be alive today. I probably would have taken my life, because in my times of depression and darkness, there was really no reason to get up in the morning, no reason to go through the day. It was a lot of pain, a lot of mental and emotional anguish and guilt and torment and all these things that I was carrying. And when I came to the Lord, the Lord began to change all those things. Yeah, okay, that sounds easy. That sounds like just words. People can say, yeah, sure, right. I don't expect people to believe me, but that doesn't matter, because the Lord is still working through me, and so that's really what counts. So I'm the Lord's servant, and I know what Jesus Christ has done with my life, and I'm so thankful for that. I began to read the Bible. I developed a thirst for the Bible. I couldn't put it down. I was reading it every moment. Every time I was back in my cell, back from my work assignment or whatever, I couldn't wait to pick up the Bible. That verse from Ephesians chapter 3, verse 20 comes to mind, that the Lord is able to do exceedingly and abundantly above all I could ever ask or think. I'm not worthy of these things. I don't deserve this. I don't deserve all these wonderful, wonderful blessings of just knowing that God is using my life for His glory and honor, and to think that at one time in my foolishness and in my, wickedness, that I allowed Satan to use me for his purposes.
Despite repeated parole hearings, he remains behind bars.
Son of Sam killer will stay behind bars. New York Board of Parole rejected the request from David Berkowitz after a prison interview earlier this month. It was his 12th appearance before the board since he became eligible for parole in 2002. Berkowitz terrorized New York City with late-night shootings in the late 1970s that killed 6 people and wounded 7 others. He called himself the Son of Sam in taunting notes to police. Berkowitz was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison after his conviction in 1978.